For staying with us right here on the #1 breakfast show in the country, Morning at NTV. Well, since 1996, the NRM government or NRM party has been writing very, very good manifestos to convince Ugandans to keep them in power. But one of the biggest problems was weak supervision of government employees in that regard and weak implementation of the same manifestos. That was also highlighted in the 2021 all the way to 2026 manifesto. It is in there if you go to the conclusion of the same document. And the one for 1996, the manifesto was actually under the theme, tackling the tasks ahead. So then the one for 2001 all the way to 2016 was all about consolidating the achievements. You see? 1996 all the way to 2001, you are tackling the tasks ahead. 2001 to 2016, consolidating the achievements. 2001 to 2006. 2006 all the way to 2011, it was about better service delivery and job creation. Now, 2011 all the way to 20... it was, did I mix them? Did I mix them?
Somehow
1996, tackling the tasks ahead. 2001 to 2006, consolidating the achievements. 2006 all the way to 2011, prosperity for all. 2011 to 2016, it was about better service delivery and job creation. 2016 to 2021, turning Uganda into modernity through job creation and inclusive development. 2021 to 2026, that is prosperity for all. So the one we are going to be unpacking is the one for the 2016 all the way to 2021 manifesto. How much of that manifesto has been achieved in the last 5 years? That's why we are having Bishop Samuel, the Commission's assistant, communications assistant at the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance. He joins me right now on set to talk about this manifesto and the recent one, which is 2021 to 2026. A very good morning, Bishop Samuel.
Yes, good morning to you.
Indeed.
And good morning, Uganda. I'm very pleased actually to be here on NTV to discuss, you know, the manifesto and to tell Ugandans like how far, you know, how far we have gone with what we promised them. You see, this is the only government that I know that when it promises, it delivers. Okay, so now I'm here to tell Ugandans that, okay, we said in 2016 to 2021, we must have covered this and this and this. So you see if it is true or if it's not true. You see, sometimes government programs may get delayed, but it does, but not never fulfilled. We do fulfill. Just that some priorities compete with others. Just the same way you could see, like, yes, we had to do a lot of things, but there was this unexpected pandemic that no government, no country saw it coming. It didn't have any warnings that in this month I will come. Okay, so you realize that it came, and this is something that we had to deal with very quickly and on short notice.
What we do know, Bishop Samuel, is that members of the opposition say that the NRM hasn't achieved a lot since its tenure began in 1986. But when we do look at the facts, I was reading the manifestos, all of them, from 1996 all the way to 2021, and I could see some clear contrast in the achievements that have been achieved by the NRM government. 1,000 kilometers of total paved roads in 1986. Now we are boasting about 5,500 by 2019. 80 factories in 1986. Now we are boasting about 1,254. You see where I'm going with this? So
4,000 for the factories, 4,000.
From 80 to 4,900, yes. And then electricity generation from 150 megawatts all the way to 1,254. So meaning there's been some kind of achievement. But then the biggest problem seems to be implementation of the party manifestos, weak supervision of government employees and monitoring of the same. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree. There is some weakness, okay? Because you see, these government programs and implementations, it has to be done by human beings, not by machines, basically. And you see, some of us, the way we do our work is really not pleasing, even if we know that we have a vision. We must move at a certain speed. But you see, human beings are human beings. Even if when others are lazy, yet they know there is a timeline for something to be done. Government does not sit and wait for those people.
It seems like the people
we always find a way.
are the people you're talking about the members of parliament, because the president hinted onto this during the 3-week retreat in Chankwazi. The president mentioned that there is weak supervision of the employees of government servants, but then there's also a problem of parliamentarians who do not implement the party's manifestos. So that's why he was saying he wants to look at a model whereby he can bypass Parliament and use cabinet to influence decisions directly and also through executive actions. Could that be the problem, that Parliament is frustrating the implementation of NRM's manifesto?
You see, the only problem I see with the Parliament, yes, the President is very right.
Yes.
Now, when we get to the members of Parliament, at some point they are trying to make it clear that Parliament now is a transaction.
Indeed.
Okay, in order to pass this, it's like how are we benefiting? We as members of Parliament, not as Ugandans. You can imagine.
Why should we be on your side?
Yes, why should we? And yet these proposals basically, they are not for the president. They're not for the president, but they are for the whole country. They are for every Ugandan. Now, when it gets on the floor of Parliament, now that's when the whole language changes. Those you realize, okay, if we are to pass this bill, then tomorrow it will be like, we also want this kind of allowance. Okay, we don't want to tax this on our money. So everything you realize it's rotating just around them. Okay, so when he talks about that, he's very right. But then when we get to the supervision, okay, yes, fine. If these members of Parliament were very serious, right from their constituencies where they come from, you see, we are talking about people who are ex-officials on district committees. They are free to check people who are supposed to give service delivery to their people. Government has put everything in place. And by government, I mean the NRM government. I'm not talking about this self-proclaimed government. The NRM government has put everything in place. But then now when it comes to our leaders, most especially these ones who are elected, because let us not talk about only the members of Parliament, let us talk about even the LC5s, okay, and others and councillors. You realize that they are not helping enough in service delivery. So the blame cannot be put only on government, like as if government is working in isolation.
Indeed.
Government is not working in isolation. Government is working with other elected leaders. If it were to be, let's say, that all these MPs are appointed by government, then you'd have put 100% full blame on the government. But that's not the case. So you have to balance the blame. Government brings a proposal, government puts everything in place. Now, what is the duty of these other leaders? How are they helping? So if they are not helping, basically, it is very easy for anyone to throw the blame on government, forgetting that there are also these other leaders that they interested in to make sure that where they come from or where they are, they also have access to government services, be it health, be it energy, be it roads, all that you get. It's packaged in one place. So there is some sort of laziness both ends.
Indeed.
Yes, but that sort of laziness basically can be dealt with. You realize that if it means that, let's say, if it means that there should be access to health services, government has put in place the hospitals. Government has put in place an environment where doctors can work, okay? But now, if there is anything missing in a particular health unit, basically that constituency or that area has a member of Parliament, it has an LC5, it has a district health commissioner. All of those people can be checked, and there are people who can check them. These people that now, we elect leaders that rise from local council, then councillor, and so on. So I think these people, they should be collective efforts to ensure that they people that they represent really get access to all these services.
I see. How true is this statement, Bishop Samuel? We are not where we want to be, but at least we are not where we used to be. Is this statement true when it comes to painting a picture of what actually is happening in Uganda, at least since 1986?
Basically,
we are not where we want to be, but we are not where we used to be.
Yes, but
you're talking about 1991. We had poverty levels at 56%. Now we are talking about 21%. But then I'd like to know what precipitated the reduction from 1991 all the way to 2012, when we saw poverty levels reduced from 56% all the way to 19%. And I'd like you to help us understand why there was an increase from 2012 all the way to at least 2021. We did see an uptick of over up to 21% in poverty levels. Why?
Poverty levels have reduced. Let us agree on that. Poverty levels have reduced, and the statement you have said, we are not where we want to be, and we are not where we used to be. Basically, the Uganda of today that we are talking about is not the Uganda of 1986.
Indeed.
This government, the NRM government, never found anything in the coffers of government.
But the funny thing is that when opposition is talking to its voters or supporters, they say the country was in a better place before the NRM.
You see, those ones are also opposition. The opposition we have in Uganda, those fellas, they are lost people, very lost people actually, and misguided. If they say Uganda is 1986, Uganda was a better place. How many radio stations or how many media houses did we have in 1986?
How many universities
did
we have?
How many universities do we have in
now
1986?
We have 49, yes.
We're talking about these people, they are talking the way they want to talk because the NRM government has put a conducive environment for them to have that talk and go back home and sleep.
I hear you.
Without even hunting for them.
Peace and stability.
Yes. In those days, there is no way you do criticize either what is government. All I mean is government. You make sure when you criticize those governments, you are just at the border of Uganda and Kenya, or Tanzania, any neighboring country.
You had Crispus Kionga winning an election, and he couldn't even be sworn in. He had to leave the country. The only position that Museveni's Uganda Patriotic Movement won in Kasese.
Yeah, in Kasese. So basically today, where we are talking, people have freedom of speech. People actually, democracy is practiced, you know, very well. You know, and then an opposition, you know, those people, I continue telling you, if they don't stop that habit or that heart of selfishness, really they should not even think or dream of being in power.
Is it selfishness, Bishop Samuel, or is it them trying to offer oversight on some of the insufficiencies that have come about since 1986?
Now, this is I get to a point whereby I also need to be assisted now by you.
Indeed.
I would like you to give me one guidance that opposition has ever given to this government.
Now, this is the biggest argument. Many of the people who are watching Morning at NTV right now maybe know of it already. Opposition loyalists or opposition politicians do not tell President Museveni what the problem is, because if they tell him and he fixes it, credit will go to President Museveni. So what they do is parrot problems to actually bring all those disgruntled voters to their side. That's what is actually happening.
That is shallow-minded,
opportunistic politics.
Opportunistic politics and shallow-minded way of thinking of cheap politicians actually, who run after only like media coverage, cheap media popularity, but there is no way. You see, let me tell you one thing.
So that's why they can't tell him.
Yeah, for the first time in Uganda, we have a president who is accessible, a president who is not just a president seated in the State House, but a president who is with the people that he is leading. Okay, so give me one opposition member who has ever said that I advised the president at this point, and this was done Instead, credit was given to him.
Right here on the show, I've actually tried several times to talk to many of the opposition members shortly after the interview, telling them, why don't you work with President Museveni? Why don't you tell him of the many problems that your citizens are grappling with so that he fixes them? And he says, these are the things we plan to work on when we get into power. If we tell President Museveni and he works on all this, what will we do when we get into power? So meaning we are dealing with opportunistic politics. But then you can enlighten the opposition with some of the achievements that have been achieved under the NRM government, focusing on the 2016 all the way to 2021 party manifesto, taking Uganda into modernity through job creation and inclusive development. How much of that manifesto, Bishop Samuel, has been achieved? And if not, what were the challenges?
You see, now when we talk about opposition, you have talked about it like off air. Yeah, those people, they can't sit here and then say that government would have done A, B, C, D. Okay? And secondly, when you look at it closely, these people are really just being very funny, honestly speaking. The ideas even you're talking about, they are not even there. They're not there, really. We don't have disgruntled voters. These fellas make Ugandans think that actually Uganda is not moving anywhere. Or most especially now, we have the youth. They were not there in 1986. They don't know anything. Okay. Now, for you to tell them that in 1986 Uganda was better, and you see, we live in a situation whereby our people even don't want to do research. We are poor at looking for information and reading.
So
you get what I'm saying?
So how much of that has been achieved? In
the role of
health?
opposition
Yes.
is to advise government. This opposition we have today has never advised the government. Now, getting to your question, what has been achieved today
in terms of health, education, and governance?
Yeah. Now you see. Now let's talk about health. Government has continued with immunization and the reproductive health programs, taking health services nearer to the people. Let's say, like, you'd realize that health services today is just a walkable distance, just a short distance.
You have more health center 3s, more health
yes,
center
every
4s.
5 kilometers there is a
5 national referral hospitals,
Okay.
5 specialized hospitals.
Yeah, 5 specialized hospitals, 139 general hospitals. We have 14 regional hospitals.
Indeed.
Okay, and all of these hospitals, as we have mentioned them, government has increased availability of drugs. That's point number one. Government does not just build hospitals and live there. It has increased the availability of drugs. It consolidated immunization and increased the HIV/AIDS awareness campaigns and access to ARVs. It has educating society, let's say on communicable and non-communicable diseases.
Malaria eradication.
Yeah, and also increased efforts on eradicating malaria. You have seen we have given out mosquito nets because we want every Ugandan to live a healthy life. And with all of these efforts, Ugandans are guaranteed of a longer lifespan than in 1986. Because by then the lifespan was I think 35 years or 45. But today we are talking about...
It was 43 in 1995. By 2017, it was 63. Yeah, so now we are talking about 65.
Yeah, today we are talking about 65. All of these things, the 65 years, all these things are not happening by miracle, by the policies that the government has put in place.
What about matters to do with education?
Yeah, matters to do with education. By the way, with the education it has progressed tremendously.
36,000 primary schools, 5,500 secondary schools, 1,700 tertiary and universities. So I want to know why we have more primary school learners, 36,000, but then you have a slow absorption of the same in the secondary schools, which is 5,500. What can we do to make sure that more learners graduate to secondary school?
Before I answer that, there is something very quick. The institution's calendar was reviewed to bring senior tools on board, Therefore, senior twos will report back earlier on 13th May 2021 instead of 31st May.
Okay.
But the ending date of the term for senior twos will be communicated by close of business today.
In these last 2 minutes, I wanted you to exhaust on education and governance.
Yeah, now, with education, you realize you have asked actually why is it there is a large number in primary schools and then
low absorption,
low absorption in secondary schools. Now let us look at these are the benefits of UPE.
Indeed.
Okay, these are the benefits of UPE.
Yes.
Government would the main intention government wanted, the intention was at least every child to have basic education. Okay, that was very, very, very important.
And we also saw the number of years in education increase from 2.5 to 6 years.
Exactly. So you realize that actually we wanted every child to have basic education, and this was an advantage to our parents actually who could not afford to take their children to school. And if you've read this today, it is very, very hard because of education, because of UPE. It is hard to get a house helper like it used to be before. Indeed. Because everyone now wants their child at least to learn to read and write, and that has increased. You know, the literacy rate, which is 77%.
What about matters to do with governance? What has been achieved in this area?
With matters of governance. We can talk about democracy.
Indeed.
Okay, where there is people power, power which belongs to the people.
Indeed.
Okay, today Uganda is 24th in the whole world and 7th in Africa in women parliament legislation processes. Okay, so and even media. Okay. Media, you report freely.
But we are being beaten. Lieutenant Colonel Franklin Namanya beat us up when we were in Kololo.
Yes, now.
And some other factors
yes,
that are not so appealing.
That's very absurd, but I want to promise you that you won't be beaten again. I cannot sit here and then I promise you that you will not be beaten again, but it is very absurd. But you realize actually, when you are being beaten, government actually condemns it and we follow up. Why were you beaten? And what was the cause of that? And in most cases, those who have done it are really punished. We don't take it for granted that a journalist has been beaten, therefore we should rejoice.
Indeed.
Okay? We condemn it. It's because of NRM government. You know, we cannot work without you.
Indeed.
Okay? You help us actually to put out news there and even unearth wrongdoings and corruption.
All right.
I wish you would continue to walk in that line.
Indeed.
We
are.
Yeah, we would walk in that line. We would be good.
Indeed.
Okay, we would be good.
And finally, as we wrap up, Bishop Samuel.
As we wrap up, I would like to thank all Ugandans to more interest in the NRM government. The president is going to swear in, okay, very, very soon. And because of good governance and good regional cooperation, so far 21 heads of state have confirmed the coming. Invitation was passed out to 42. So really you see that actually the friendship that the president has built with other countries is what has helped us actually to move forward.
And on that note, we've come to the end of this conversation. Many thanks, Bishop Samuel. He is the communications assistant in the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance. We couldn't have been more proud to have you on the show to expand more on the manifesto and how it shall help Ugandans in that manner. Thank you.